Shyness or an irrational fear? Why am I shy? I know I am not alone when I am talking about being shy. In fact, I think it's safe to say that more than 1 billion people on this planet wonder what being shy is all about. Common questions I have had and often hear are, how can a person be shy one minute and outgoing the next? This brings me to my main question, why am I shy? I know that people can't just be born to be timid, and yet here I am as proof. So, where could all of this have come from, or who should I give the credit to? It is my goal to make sure everyone who wants to can understand why some people are taught to be shy and others are not. I vaguely remember anything about my earliest years of school. In fact, I know that I was a bit rough on the kids around me. I have been told that I was held back a grade just because I couldn't play nicely. For me, this was the first instance, which would go on in different ways for the rest of my life. What does it mean to be shy? We all have our own ideas about what shyness is, and for those of us that actually are shy, we probably consider it as a major weakness. Especially when it comes to wanting to make friends or wanting to have fun with lots of others. Let's look at what it means to be shy then. We have a desire to be more than we are capable of doing in certain situations. The result is that we withdraw or don't say anything. If we try to speak, the words seem jumbled or don't find a way to come out. I have also had issues with being a soft talker, and that too is annoying for me. I don't feel comfortable saying anything to begin with, but when I do, I usually end up having to repeat myself until I give up or get way too uncomfortable to continue to try. This obviously is something I know very well, because it's been a major character flaw my entire life, which I have never fully understood. I would think of myself in negative ways, and this was very problematic because it led me to be unhappy most of the time. There are many different reasons I was unable to understand myself, and it wasn't until later in life that I ever realized I didn't have to be so shy. But that was something that I didn't figure out before I found alcohol, which for me was the nightmare I couldn't stop doing once I began. Is being shy a weakness or just a great way to be different? This idea came about for me to start thinking of alternative ways to express myself. I was very uncomfortable because I was always trying to say the right things, not do anything weird with my hands or my body movements, and I became obsessed with trying to keep everything still at all times. What a mess! I was full of so many self-doubts, which kept piling onto my problems. Sure, I figured out ways to cope to get through my day, and then had the fun of reflecting on my thoughts about the day. This would often lead me into nightmares, or an unhealthy way of thinking, which would keep me wide awake all night. Wondering what people would think of me, wondering if I was liked or hated, wondering if people even noticed this or that about me and judged me. As you can see, there are multiple problems that I found out along the way, which all came from being the shy and quiet type. Problems leading to more problems, and nobody who seemed to understand me. Part of me begged for help, but I never asked for any. Being in a constant state of mind where I knew I was miserable and wanted to be different than I was. The problem is that help never showed up, or if it did, I was unable to clearly say what I would have needed to say to get any help. My days would go by so slowly, and I would regret the next few days before they ever got close. The takeaway from this is that it's not automatic that a change will happen on its own. It's also why I will repeat that it's something anyone who is battling shyness needs to really understand. Nobody understands you because you don't let them, or you don't understand yourself and what is going on, so you don't even know how to ask for help. Sounds like a fun way to live, doesn't it? One problem which we face when we are shy is that others around us don't understand what it's like. When you are not shy, it sounds ridiculous for anyone to actually be shy. This way of life isn't a lot different from anybody else. The exception is that we shy people obsess about nonsense to a point it becomes a way to tear ourselves down. The takeaways from what I am saying. I first want to say that it's not something that one can just wish for and boom, it happens. Shyness doesn't go away without a lot of hard work. It can be viewed as a problem if you get to a bad way of thinking, like I did, and it's only something that can get better or worse, depending on what you act on. To understand how it really impacts your life, you need to write things down to work on. If you want to be less shy or get more friends and don't know how, then you need to talk about things or be interested in things that other people are. I have to remind myself about not being so withdrawn and to keep making an effort, even when I quickly lose all the energy I had before. Shyness for me is almost like an illness, it's something unwanted and even hated. Wanting to be different and being confused all the time is no way to go through life. Just hoping to someday be understood by somebody else. What are the positives about shy people? So far, I have only mentioned negative things I feel about being shy. Now it's time to actually look at a few positives. The first thing I think about is how independent I am and how absolutely focused on something I can get. Attention to detail is a major plus for myself, because I have a talent to do what many other people don't feel comfortable doing. Shy people make the best listeners, but sometimes, eye contact can be distracting. Given that we learn by repetition and doing, rather than discussions, we can clearly think outside of any boxes and are able to adapt easily, if the need arises. Planning is a major plus, because we can sit down and list things which are implemental to getting a project completed. We are actually great leaders, who like to be behind the scenes and often coach others, to do what we may be less comfortable taking credit for. We figure out a situation and know whether it's a good idea or not, quicker than average. These are just a few valuable skills that come from being shy, and this is also why it's a process for anyone who wants to change their personality to be different. Because I am shy, I know how to evaluate what it is I want. Getting there may not be so easy, but nevertheless, with a little more ability to ask the right questions, we go far beyond what is required. To summarize all of this, the absolute best advice I can offer to anyone thinking about why they are shy is that you just haven't learned what it actually means to be different and to accept that as part of who you are. To answer the question, why am I shy? This requires you to know why you are not outgoing. If there is something you can change to make things easier. There are always ways to change one's personality, but of course, it's no simple task. The process involves taking a look at yourself on a daily basis and identifying which areas you really need to improve on, then by making a plan to attack those and following through. 21 days is what it takes on average to break a routine and create a new one. Shyness is not a routine and will be an ongoing problem to correct, if you choose to view it as one. The solutions are out there for anyone to change who they are, and it's not about pretending to be something you're not. If you want to ask me anything, please do so below, and I hope you have enjoyed or learned something from this. Don't be afraid of yourself and contact me for more help.